welcome to the first GG Christmas podcast, episode 1. I'm joined here tonight by Seleri, CY, and our very own co-owner, FatalUno. What are your expectations heading into this upcoming season?
My expectations is that we are going to do well. My expectation is that we're just always going to do our best in everything we play. I think I speak for the team when I say that everything we play, we always play to win and we always play to learn. So even if we would not win, like we are going to take everything we can from it and then move on to the next thing, right? So it's basically just to give it all in everything we do throughout the year and the coming years.
How was your very first TI? Any critiques of the tournament? And what exactly did you like the most out of your TI experience?
Come on, we had a lot.
It was very fun, I think. I have nothing to compare it to yet, right? Like this year were my first big lands, and there were 2. First one is a major, and the second one is TI. So it's pretty big tournaments to start with. But I think it was very fun. One thing I was not sure about before heading into TI was I always thought and told myself I don't see why I would feel any pressure at TI. I know I won't, but you never know until you actually do it. But I did learn apparently. Yeah, TI is just the same as other tournaments in that sense. If you're very confident and you know what you know, then there's no reason you should be more pressured at TI. Mm-hmm. So I cannot use that excuse why we lost because I was not pressured. Yeah, it was very fun overall. Very fun experience.
Was there like certain qualities when you were looking for mid laners? Like, is there certain playstyle or qualities that you were looking at?
Someone that's very, very hungry and hardworking, that wants to be absolute best mid. That was one of the qualities. But also, how to say it? Not how creative they are, like how versatile they are. Because we have a very versatile team right now. If our mid player can also play a lot of different things, which every day I'm learning a new hero that he also plays. Where he says, oh yeah, I'm also expert techies, by the way. So every day is something new. So it really amplifies how well we can use everything. We are just quite mid-centric in the sense that I think we are one of the best teams in knowing how to play around mid. I feel like Quinn will be able to abuse this very hard. Where if we properly play around him, he can just take over the game in a lot of games.
Truthfully, were there any other candidates other than Quinn when you were looking at new mid laners, or was he at the top of the priority list?
Yeah, we had some other candidates, but at one point he was definitely at the top. I have a funny story actually. I think this is fine to share with. At one day I asked Brow if he was down to have a meeting, because we need to talk with other people as well, right?
Yeah, of course.
What if Quinn doesn't want, or well, you never know. You need to have some options.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, you down to meet downstairs, bro? Just have a chat about things. So I went there with Tofu and me, and we had a nice chat with Bro. And Bro was pretty excited. So I was like, okay, I guess that's good. But he was excited because he was staying with TSM, and he was looking for 2 supports. So I thought, oh, sweet, 2 supports. But yeah, we were not... we were looking for 1 mid only. So that was unfortunate, but that was pretty funny meeting. We had a nice chat though. He's a very nice guy. I think he's definitely one of the other NA mids that is just very, very talented and very good.
So I've got a question here from Prowl. He wants to know more about Quinn's adaptation to EU Dota since he's hopped across, and how do you feel that he synergized within our team, in our scrims, and how they've been going and everything?
I think from my perspective at least, he's a very, very natural fit for the team in many ways. I mean, obviously, Seleri said like they met in Singapore as well and talked already, and they kind of knew each other a little bit. So on that level, I guess you already had a good idea. So yeah, he's a very good fit in terms of that. He's, of course, everybody knows Quinn's exquisite vocabulary, so he's very good at expressing what he thinks and like very precisely, which is really nice when we discuss anything in the game, really. And also he's an insanely good player, so it's like he can play anything. And so in terms of the game itself, I also feel like he's a very, very good fit for the team.
It's interesting, right? Like adapting from NA, but like Dota is still the same game in a way there, right? The thing is, I think if anything, there's only so much adapting you have to do in terms of Dota. If anything, there's more specific adaptations to the team that he's playing in now. Because teams in Europe are very specific. If you're playing in a different team, you cannot just say, yeah, I'm playing in a team in Europe. Like, no, the team is very different in the way they see the game and how they play. So it's very team specific. Like in terms of NA Dota or EU Dota, if anything, the level in NA was just a bit lower than it is in EU. But that's not really something you have to adapt for. If you were at the top in NA all the time, then now you actually have some competition. But they already had that when they went international, so I don't know. That's not really something new. So, yeah, if anything, he has to adapt to living in Europe, I think. But I cannot say how that's going. I think he's still alive the last time we talked today, so I think it's going pretty good. I think.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
I have one last question for you guys. At least from my mind. What do you guys like? How do you guys see, or how do you guys feel about the roster shuffles that have happened in multiple regions? You can, go into detail if you like about Europe or CIS or whatever it is. And what are your thoughts on the different regions? Like, do you think there's standout teams in different regions? Do you think some regions have a lot more strong teams, a lot less weaker or more weak teams? Like, what are your guys' thoughts on that? If you've been keeping track of, obviously, the roster shuffle and that stuff.
I think one very I think for me this is the most interesting team. It's probably Batboom, where it's pure GPK, Nightfall, Save, and Toronto Tokyo. When I saw this roster, I thought it was ridiculous. Like, I knew it was in the works. I'm like, well, how do they come up with these rosters? But I'm very interested to see how this goes. Like, I feel like it's such almost a weird combination. Where I mean, maybe they're all friends, From an outside perspective, for me, it just seems very, very random. But maybe they're just gonna super destroy everyone. So.
No, man, not us. But when I first read the rumor on the Reddit somewhere, I think, like very early, someone posted something like this, and I was like, it's just some fan who wants to see all his best, like, Eastern European players, like, in one team, right? And that's what you want to see. And then suddenly this team is announced, and I'm like, oh, I guess Toronto Tokyo is going from mid to 5. All right, that's an interesting jump, but yeah, very cool.
Let's see.
But I don't know. I actually don't have much thought about it currently because I just want to see how they do, basically, at least in their first games. And it's hard to say from outside because everybody is different and all teams are different as well. As Seleri also said, like every European team, for example, is very specific. So I think it really depends. Like, for example, many have been switching mid players, I feel like, and how do they fit in, like, and how are they managing to get along with that new player? For example, with those 2 new players, usually it's 1 or 2 players. So I think it's just about to see it. Like, I don't have any expectations, and I'm not gonna judge on any names I see being switched around. I think it really comes down to the team itself. So yeah, curious to see.
I think some interesting, I don't know if I mentioned this before, it's kind of funny, or like interesting knowledge where, for example, Boom joining Secret, or maybe people think I would just know this, but I didn't know till it's announced. But I also felt like I couldn't ask him, because I was I also kicked him, So then what am I going to ask him? Like, yo, you found a new team? And then he says no, I'm like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, so
I cannot say anything, so I had no idea what's happening. They kept it a good secret, so that fits in with the name. I think another team that's very interesting, I just remembered, is in Asia, Boom Esports. It's a lot of booms. Boom Esports. I think their roster is very interesting. With who's on the roster exactly? I know X Nova joined them. I thought that was very, very cool news. Actually, I did not expect that. I think that's very interesting that he was always one of the better or high-regarded players from SEA. And he played in China and had a really good time, and now he's back. So I think that's very, very cool. I think see who else? They still have Yopaj. They have Natsumi carry now. I'm very interested. I think this could be a very strong team. I mean, looking at the SEA teams, there's a lot of interesting switches now. Ollie is also back in SEA. I think that's a very interesting thing that you have an SEA in China.
Appreciate it. I hope you've enjoyed it. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you in future podcast episodes. That's right, there are going to be more episodes. Next one will be this Friday, where we are going to get our new mid laner Quinn to share his thoughts and feelings live on stream for us.